Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 63 of the At the Coffee Table podcast. I am Jason Klink, your host, and I'm flying solo today. It's been 2-3 weeks since I've done a podcast. It's well overdue, and I decided to do this podcast based on a current event and a topic that I feel pretty passionate about. So, if you have any comments or have any thoughts about the podcast today, drop a comment and let me know what you think. But today's podcast topic is about the brain, and the brain can only take so much. What do I mean by that? So recently I saw, and I don't know all the particulars or the story behind it, but I saw in the news and on social about a public safety telecommunicator that had started his house on fire. And from the way it sounds like it's another public safety employee that was having a very difficult time. And, you know, I've talked about this before, and there's a definite burnout factor when it comes to public safety. And this is not all going to be all about public safety, but it's what I know best. And what I do know is your brain can only take so much. When you're working in that industry, in that profession, you're subjected to a lot of bad stuff for over a course of decades, really. And so it goes for a very, very long time. And I've said it once, I'll say it a million times. There's a burnout factor because I hit it. Um, and after, 20 years or 25 years of doing that line of work, it weighs on you. And I am disturbed by these stories from across the country, police officers, firefighters, EMTs, 911 telecommunicators that ultimately end up taking their own life, or maybe they have some kind of substance abuse, and they get themselves in trouble, they break some laws, whatever it might be, and it's because of the brain trauma that they absorb for years and years and years. And you wouldn't think, a lot of people might not think that, a 911 dispatcher has any kind of PTSD exposure, but they do. And it's the ones that, they hear call after call after call of some really awful things. And your mind, absorbs that and creates a story of its own based on the fact that they can't see it. They can't see what's occurring or what's going on. And then you have police, fire, and EMS that are not only subjected to the sound, but they're subjected to the sights of what might be going on. I sat down and watched not many episodes, quite a few episodes of the emergency call that's on ABC, and it's about 911 call taking. And my wife never worked in this business, has no idea what that goes into that industry, into that profession. So watching the calls, there's a lot of questions. Is that really like it the way it is? Is that really what might happen? And at one point recently, I said, you know what? We might need to stop watching these because I am replaying in my head every single awful call that I've ever had in 19 years of working at 911. There's definitely, to the person, to persons outside of that industry or that profession, you might not think that PTSD is something that's applicable, because typically that for decades that was assigned to a soldier coming back from war. But working within public safety and having your brain absorb bad stuff for decades, there is PTSD that happens within that profession. Some folks will play it off. They'll play it off like, it's not a huge deal. It's been played off by the industry for many decades, to where it wasn't even addressed. It was, and I've said it before, it was suck it up and deal and move on. Go out and have a good cry, come back and do your job. And you only can absorb that for so long where that doesn't work. And now it starts affecting your overall health and your overall lifestyle. Now, I've done a bit of learning on brain and brain health. I follow Dr. Amen, who's a world-renowned neuroscientist, and his content based on what he provides on brain health, and everything from what you eat to what you drink to what you see to what you hear. all plays a factor in your brain. And your brain will create stories for you subconsciously, that ultimately come to your conscious life and affect what you're doing. Um, Years of traumatic brain input can really affect a person. And it's not only public safety people, but if you are, maybe you're in a traumatic relationship, you're in a really bad relationship. um, I have a good friend of mine that went through a couple of bad relationships that ultimately affected her and affected her brain health, and depression and anxiety. And when your brain's subjected to bad stuff on a regular basis, depression, anxiety is not too far along. One of the more profound things that I've heard recently, I was listening to an audiobook yesterday that talked about depression is worrying about what's already happened and replaying that over and over in your head. Anxiety is worrying about what might occur and what bad results might come out of something in the future, and replaying that over and over in your head. So if you're at two ends of that spectrum, you can imagine what the clash is in the middle. It's finding the middle ground and being present where you need to be present, and living for right now, and not worrying about what's already happened and replaying that in your head, or worry about what might occur and replaying that in your mind. What I really want to stress is take care of your brain. And if you feel that you've been subjected to years worth of bad stuff, don't be afraid to go out and get some help. The mental health professionals are there to give you the tools in order to repair your brain first and foremost, but give you the tools to push through any difficult times you may be having. And again, it could be a difficult relationship, an abusive relationship. It could be a divorce. I've talked about before in the podcast is after my divorce from my first wife, I was down in a hole, man, that I wasn't getting out of. I wasn't climbing out of that by myself. And I was replaying everything that's happened, and then it was, one bad relationship after another. So I needed the help. I needed the tools to get out of that hole. And if I didn't go seek out help, I may still be there or worse. So your brain will compensate for a while, but your brain will decompensate even faster. And you don't want to, miss out on the great things in life. The thing is that you don't want to get to end of life and have regrets. You don't want to get to the end of your life, the last few years of your life as an old person, and regret not taking care of yourself, not regret not doing something that you've always wanted to do. And our lives go by way too fast to have any kind of regret at the end. So, there is groups out there, and if you don't want to connect with a group, if you don't want to connect with a support group, or maybe a mental health professional, but like if you're working in, again, we'll go back to public safety. If you're working in public safety, there are outlets to be able to get you help if you're having a difficult time. But confide in a friend or a coworker that understands where you're coming from. The worst thing you can do is talk to somebody that really doesn't understand where you're coming from, and they want to give you their interpretation or their opinion, and it doesn't really apply. I watched colleagues of mine go through their career, and they get to the end of the career, and they're just tired. They're tired of doing the job, but they want to get that max retirement. But what's on the other side of that max retirement? And you're struggling to get to those last few years, and you retire. Now you don't know what to do with yourself, and maybe your health deteriorates, or maybe you don't get to enjoy your retirement because you're used to the shift work and that constant brain trauma. You should be doing all you can do to make yourself healthy, to make your brain healthy, so you can enjoy retirement if you get to the end. I'm also of the opinion that if you don't enjoy what you're doing, there's no reason to do it. And I've heard about more and more of people in public safety in that profession that just leave, and they could be there 2 years, or they could be there 22 years. And all of a sudden it just becomes too much and they leave. And there's so much opportunity out there right now to do other things that, that kind of work just gets unattractive after a while. And the profession and the industry itself has yet to recover and find a way to make it attractive and make it easier on people to do that job. And I'm not sure what the answer is. I really don't. I know for me, after doing it for 19 years, realistically, with the fire service, 25-ish years, it was time to go. And now, if I don't want to do, or I'm sorry, if I don't enjoy what I'm doing, then I'm going to change. There's going to be a change. I'm going to do something else because I don't want to ever get into that kind of position, that rut of just going to work and going through the motions and coming home, because it's just not healthy. And you don't want to keep pounding your brain worth of stuff that's just not healthy. It just doesn't provide for a quality of life that we should all be afforded to. Um, but I implore the leaders in the public safety world, in that profession, to do more for mental health, do more for your people, because ultimately, if you take care of your people, and this is any industry, if you take care of your people, they're ultimately going to take care of you. If you have a genuine concern for your people, they're ultimately going to take care of you. So, do what you can. And yeah, I just wanted to highlight this today. I was compelled to highlight this today just based on some of the current events. It bothers me when a profession or a professional that's there to help others is crying out for help and doing something destructive in order to cry out for help, and that just shouldn't happen. So, take care of your brain is the bottom line. Take care of your brain. And I just wanted to do this podcast here today solo, to give you my 2 cents on brain health and taking care of yourself. I'd love to hear your comments. Let me know what you think. This will be replayed on IGTV later on today. So if you're watching this, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop your comments. If I can do anything for you at all, I'm in the coaching and mentoring space, along with everything else that I do, but I'm in the coaching and mentoring space. And I have some insights that can help you if you're looking to make a change. If you're looking to maybe get out of a rut and get into something else, I'd love to help you out. Let's talk. Send me a DM, and I'd love to connect with you and see how I can help you out at all. So with that, I hope everybody has a great day. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you next time.